Good evening. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. This was an unannounced live, but here we are. Hello, hello, hello. We've got a lot going on. Hello. Yes, I'm doing okay. My voice is just a little bit rough tonight, but I think we will make it through. Forgive me for my grumbling. Hello, welcome. Hello, hi Mel and Dusty. Hello, welcome. Welcome in, welcome in. Oh my gosh, too much seasons. Yes. Oh my gosh, way, way too much. I've got several things I thought I would just kind of give everybody a heads up on going on, but it's just, there's so much. There's just so much going on here. All right, I gotta find my pen. Oh, should we do a gold one tonight? What do we think? Is this gold one okay? You think we could do gold with silver jewelry? Well, I guess it is gold jewelry. All right, perfection. We've got it. Spicy. I don't know about that. I'm gonna have to go back over there and rebuild some trust. Sometimes we all lose our temper. And there's a particular person that I've lost my temper with, so I will have to rebuild some trust over there with Amanda. Oh my gosh, I'm a people. I have a temper sometime. Sometimes that can happen. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. You said what we all wanted to say. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes, handful tonight. I'm just going to kind of touch base on some of the new latest legal situations going on. So with that, thank you, Tea Time. I appreciate that. Yes. So I was on a live last night, and I really enjoy hanging out with Amanda and everybody. Hi, John. Good to see you. Hello, Thomas. Amanda and Wisco and the Duck Man. Oh my gosh, he's just, I tell you, Wisco and the Duck Man, they give me life. Anytime I can see them live, it's like they just give me life. So I adore them. And I was just kind of cruising by, and then Amanda had invited me up, and I was like, I don't know, because there's a bad man on the panel. I don't know if he's a man, I'm assuming that, but anyway. So I thought, well, this will be all right. I'll just come and hang out and see what my friends, what's going on with Trency, see what's up. And as soon as I started listening to his voice, it was like that was it. The Hulk was out, and I had nothing left in my cup of nice tea. I didn't have anything left for him. So right. I'll have to go back and rebuild some trust. I try to keep when I lose my temper, I do try to keep that to myself. I'm not particularly proud when I lose my temper, but it does happen every once in a while. So 2 times in the last 24 hours. Oh my goodness. And it's exhausting when the Hulk comes out because, you just are like, what just happened? And yeah, and it's exhausting. Yes. So yes, no, well, you didn't really miss anything. It's all right. It's all right. I'm just gonna, I need to make sure I have a very firm boundary to not, go up if that particular person's there, because he's just a trigger because, and I think that will always be the situation. Oh, which reminds me, hold on, everybody. I forgot. I had another visual aid I wanted to start adding to the live. So 1 second, everyone. All right, here I am and I'm back. So I had to get a visual aid because we're having a difficult time on this particular app saying certain words. So I got us a little visual aid, everyone. Let me turn to the side. So this is one of the characters out of the Indiana Jones movies, right? Does everyone remember? I never really knew his name, but the very first Indiana Jones movie. Now I'm not supporting purchasing anything here, but there's a certain word that I'm going to need to say, or I'm going to need to make sure everybody knows when I'm going through a lot of different documents and things. So I just wanted to kind of bring him out. And instead of saying the word, I'll just show this, right? So this character from Indiana Jones reminds me a lot of that fella on the live last night. So I gotta be careful. Oh my gosh, I tell you. And this, let me also say that he was on clearance, so it's okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, old Barrister should do a Funko. All right, well, anyway, I'll put him away now. He can go over here for now. But yes, that's my new visual aid because we're getting into cases now that have that word quite a bit included. And so we want to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about there. So welcome in, everybody. Here's kind of a little extra bonus live. There's just a lot going on. I wanted to do a quick overview of just a few things here to keep everybody posted on what's going on. My live schedule's just all over the place right now, so forgive me. But we have, or what I've included here is I have 2 executive orders that have been put out on April 28th. Here oh my gosh, and I'll let you know how I feel about that. And then we do have the articles of impeachment, and I'll probably spend some time actually going through this in quite a bit of detail, but I thought we could do an overview of the articles here. And just go put this into your search browser, and then his name is Arnold Tote. And he's a bobblehead here, so that's kind of fun. Just put that in there, and it'll explain. But then we also have an order. I had done a post earlier today on Mr. Madawi. Now, this was a Columbia student who, had a green card for 10 years, was working on his naturalization. And, he went to a naturalization meeting, and then he was left the meeting and was walking and was picked up and put in detention. And today, the court has allowed him to be out of detention. Now, the post I made earlier was just explaining he was out of detention, but then we have this huge order that came out. Yes, Vermont, exactly. And I thought, well, let's just take a peek here at what this order has to say. So a couple of things to kind of dive into tonight. We won't go too far into the weeds, just kind of do an overview. So let me move this one here. That'll be our grand finale. But first, let's take a look. Hopefully everybody can see this okay, or at least enough to be able to, pull it up on your own. Oh, really? Oh, she's going to be live? Okay, great. She's speaking. Yes. Well, and my hope is to be finished actually by then. I had planned to do a short live tonight, everybody. So it's going to be quick but intense. And so that's all right. Here we go. Here's our executive order for the 28th, enforcing common sense rules of the road for America's truck drivers. Right. And then for all of his executive orders, again, remember, his executive orders are not law. They are administrative directives or policies, right? So if it was like the president of a company came in and said, well, we want to do this, this, and this regarding company rules, that's the same kind of situation, all right? So these are not rules for laws in a legal situation. All right, here we go. Wishes. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I like to look at it more of like, policies, because I think, that it can have some pretty significant effect, but they're also working on trying to get this into law through Congress. All right, here we go. this is the trucker one. I'm going to just read the intro paragraph and then go check out what they're actually wanting to change here. America's truck drivers are essential to the strength of our economy, even this economy right now, the security of our nation, and the livelihoods of the American people. Everyday truckers perform the demanding and dangerous work of transporting the nation's goods to businesses, customers, and communities safely, reliably, and efficiently. At least they have. We don't know what's going to happen here. Proficiency in English, which I designated as our official national language in Executive Order 14224 of March 1st of 2025, designating English as the official language of the United States, should be a non-negotiable safety requirement for professional drivers. They should be able to read and understand traffic signs, which obviously, and again, as we go through this, you have to have a test. You take a test before you're allowed to be a commercial driver or truck driver. Communicate with traffic safety, clearly, Border Patrol, agricultural checkpoints, and cargo weight limit station officers. All of these things all are required in order to even get your license to drive. Just again, this is already in place. Drivers need to provide feedback to their employers and customers and receive related directions in English. This is common sense. This is why federal law requires that to operate a commercial vehicle, a driver must read and speak the English language sufficiently to converse with the general public. So again, this is all of the things required already. But so here's his intro paragraph. He goes through a couple of paragraphs usually explaining it, and then usually there's something in here saying that the previous administration ruined the world. Let me just skim through here. Do we have anything? Oh, maybe he didn't this time. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, we fast forwarded through this. This required has not been enforced. Oh, here we go. Here's he's going after the previous administration. This requirement has not been enforced in years. All right. So let's look and see. Here's our policy. Policy of my administration to support America's truckers and safeguard our roadways by enforcing the common sense English language requirement for commercial motor vehicle drivers and removing needless regulatory burdens that undermine the working conditions of America's truck drivers. This order will help ensure safe, secure, and efficient motor carrier industry. Interesting. Here, let me just ask here. I've got a couple different screens. Am I in focus here, everyone? Is my mic okay? I needed to ask both of those questions. Are we all right here? Dedicated drivers who are not fellows. They really do. They really do. I mean, it's just, it seems simple. Run this through. Okay. It's good enough. Okay, good enough. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hasn't been enforced since Obama, and even that is surprising to me. I tell you what, the DOT is absolutely, that's the one agency I never want to have a fight with because they will win. All right, here we go. There's our upholding the English proficiency requirements for commercial motor vehicles. Transportation acting through the administration shall within 60 days of the date of this order rescind the guidance document entitled English Language Proficiency Testing and Enforcement Policy here, issued on June 15th of 2016, and issue a new guidance here. In carrying out subsection A, the Secretary of Transportation through the administrator shall take all necessary and appropriate actions. All right, so here's number 4, strengthening commercial driver's license security for safer commercial motor vehicle operations. Again, these are things he's requesting of the Secretary of Transportation. Now remember, all of these different federal departments, the secretaries of all of these different federal agencies, they have no experience, they have no knowledge of how any of these things run, but every single time, pretty much every single time an executive order comes out, the administration's like, okay, you need to do this and you need to report. So good luck to that. Reviewing non-domiciled commercial driver's license, CDLs, issued by relevant state agencies to identify any unusual patterns or numbers or other irregularities with respect to non-domiciled CDL issuance, right? So now I think we have a pretty good idea of what this is really about. This is about immigrants, right? Evaluate and take appropriate actions to improve the effectiveness of current protocols for verifying the authenticity and validity of both domestic and international commercial driving credentials. Number 5, supporting America's truck drivers. Within 60 days, again, the Secretary of Transportation shall identify and begin carrying out additional administrative, regulatory, or enforcement actions to improve the working conditions. Now that's good. Let's back this up a little bit. Hold on. Let's just see here. 60 days, the Secretary of Transportation shall identify and begin carrying out additional administrative, regulatory, or enforcement actions to improve the working conditions of American truck drivers. I would agree with that sentence. I think this is good. I think that you should do that. But I think anybody that wanted less red tape, right? Less of the bureaucracy, this is not less, this is more. So I think that's important to remember. General provisions here, and then just stating what kind of, normally how we go about executive orders. So, all right, there's the first one, everybody. Here, so that's not bad. We had one sentence in there that didn't seem to be awful, but does seem to add quite a few regulations to what's going on out there. And that's the way that felt. And then the second executive order, again, I am just running through these pretty quick, just to give you quick updates, everyone. Here, hello, Kimber. Hello, welcome. All right, this one's called Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement. You don't want to put unleashing. All right, unleashing with law enforcement, those two things aren't the best. To pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. All right, so again, my background is in criminal law quite a bit, as well as constitutional law and lots of other things. But I've been in court as prosecutor and as defense counsel, not at the same time. That would be unethical. So let's just take a peek and see what they're doing here. Number 1, the purpose and the policy. Safe communities rely on the backbone and heroism of a tough and well-equipped police force, right? My administration is steadfastly committed to empowering state and local law enforcement to firmly police dangerous criminal behavior and protect innocent citizens. All right. Yes, this is from the 28th. I thought it had said it on here, but let's double check and make sure. Yes, right here. So the 28th. When local leaders demonize law enforcement and impose legal and political handcuffs that make aggressively enforcing the law impossible, crime thrives and innocent citizens and small business owners suffer. My administration will therefore establish best practices at the state and local level for cities to unleash high-impact local police forces. All right, hold on, that's not right at all. Police forces protect and defend law enforcement officers wrongly accused and abused by state or local officials and surge resources to officers in need. Wrongly accused and abused by state or local officials and surge resources to officers in need. Under the Department of Justice, then it's not part of the federal, powers. There is, or there has been in the past, like the biggest help has been when some of the federal new tech and stuff has come out. There are special programs where they've donated different pieces. Oh no, am I still frozen? Oh no, hold on. Am I frozen? Hold on, am I still frozen? Okay, thanks. All right, good. Oh, I'm glad I didn't say anything weird. I'm okay now. Okay, great. All right, let's go back. So what I was saying is that there are programs for the feds to sometimes give new tech to police agencies, but they have to use that tech within a year or so, usually just a year. So the parameters of federal power over state law enforcement are just very, very strict. So this is very odd. Establish best practices at the state and local level for cities to unleash high-impact local police forces. So are they creating police forces then? They're creating new federal police forces for states. Interesting. Protect and defend law enforcement officers wrongly accused. So does that mean they're going to send lawyers accused and abused by state or local officials? So is this lawyers then? Lawyer. Right. And surge resources to officers in need. Now, quite frankly, this part I would agree with. I think this is very important. I think our law enforcement, state and local, needs to have some pretty significant additional help. So let me break down why this particular sentence was really bonkers. Get the military to aid the police. Right. So the problem here with doing this is that there's no jurisdiction. There's no jurisdiction. Anytime law enforcement pulls somebody over, all right, or investigates a crime or whatever, you have to have proper jurisdiction. That means you have to have been granted the authority. That means, and some of you who have universities probably have university police, right? Let's just kind of set this out here. University police in your town, and then you probably have your city police, right? City police. Then you probably have your county police here, and then you've got your state troopers, all right? And this is just kind of an overview of law enforcement. Here you go. There you are. So we've got four, we'll just say we've got four in the park police, right? So we'll just kind of put the variety of different types of police here. So let's say we've got four categories of state law enforcement, all right? The popo's bad enough. Oh, I know, right? And then, so this is our state police. And then, of course, if there is a federal law, we will have the feds involved. So that's where you get the DOTs with the administrative rules, and we get the FBI involved, and, the federal courts get involved because it's federal law. Any kind of state law has to be enforced by police in that area, and they have to be given jurisdiction. Let me explain what happens. And any prosecutor will know, they'll go through this. If you have in your town a place where your jurisdiction will cross, so let's say this is your town here, and we'll just say, let's use park police. Well, the DNR, yeah, let's use that. Let's use the state police. All right, so this area, we'll call it a university police. That's easier for me. So we have the uni police here, right? They're in charge of, we'll just hypothetically use Harvard, okay? And then Harvard is in the city. So then you have the city police here. And that city is within the county. So then the county is here. And then you have your state troopers here. The university police don't have authority to even branch out into the state police law enforcement, or the county police law enforcement, or even the city police law enforcement without permission. So every single category of police has to have permission for jurisdiction. So the city police in the city where Harvard is, they have enforcement over what's going on in maybe 1 or 2 miles outside of the city limits, if that's been granted in that area, but maybe not, because when you get to the border, then you're calling in the county sheriff department, because that's their jurisdiction. All right, so the county sheriff's coming in, and then the county sheriff, even if they're going into another county, sure, if there's hot pursuit or so on, you can follow hot pursuit, so you don't actually have to stop at the line like Dukes of Hazzard style. But hot pursuit situation's a little bit different. But then you call in the state troopers. So every level of law enforcement has required jurisdiction that is not to cross over into the other area without special permission. This is the state law. Now, where within the state law is the federal jurisdiction? right? So where would the federal jurisdiction, it says right here, establish best practices at the state and local level for cities to unleash high impact local police forces. So how's that? Where are the feds? There's no feds. Any of them permission with this? No, he can't. That's the thing. This is all established. The jurisdiction is established by statutes and even local law. And there's a city law that says the university police can go 2 miles outside of the university to go after some kind of crime, right? That's a city law. So we have state statutes, local laws setting out jurisdiction here. And you might say, well, federal law has to be followed. Yes, but this isn't federal law. This is all state law. None of the state laws can be enforced by federal law enforcement because that's not their jurisdiction. See what I'm saying, everybody? Yeah, so if you're in a federal park, right, we've got federal park people there. That's one thing. Or if we've got, I think the DOT is probably one of the best examples because they're out crossing lines all the time. So when they're saying that we're going to have the feds come in to establish best practices, they're saying, well, the feds are going to tell the states how to enforce their own law, and that is not constitutional. That is a clear violation of the Constitution. So if it's a state law, let's even go back again to the university. One of the university laws is that you can't walk across one street north, all right? You can't go north on a street. So let's say somebody does go north, the university police are like, wow, you're creating some congestion. We've got a whole bunch of cars here backed up. We've got a time, place, and manner situation going on. So here's your ticket and don't go north, right? So are you telling me the FBI then can come in and tell the Harvard police how to explain to someone that they can't go north of the Memorial Union, right? See how that doesn't work. And in fact, too, when we go to court, we have to establish jurisdiction. That's part of what prosecutors do. That's why we have city prosecutors and county prosecutors, and state prosecutors as well, because you have to come in with jurisdiction, or else you can't do it. All right? Right. So, FBI has been requested. FBI can only get involved if there's a federal crime, right? That's just the thing. So the reason why, for me, I'm like, wow, that's crazy, is because there's absolutely no jurisdiction for that. And our courts are established by our constitutions, the federal and the state constitutions, as well as statutorily, as well as all of the procedural rules are done by state. The feds cannot come in and tell the state how to do their law enforcement. They just can't. They might be able to create a group of police forces, but they wouldn't be able to do anything regarding state law. All right, so let's clear that up. Some people are like, martial law. No, that's just not possible. Yeah, exactly. So next, now we've got that sorted out. That's just blatantly unconstitutional. My administration will work to ensure that law enforcement officers across America focus on ending crime. That's what they're always focusing on, not pursuing harmful, illegal race and sex-based equity policies. So this is just stupid, all right? It just doesn't even make any sense. Talk to a cop. Talk to a local cop before you start putting this kind of bologna sandwich out there. The result will be a law-abiding society in which tenacious law enforcement officers protect the innocent, violations of laws are not tolerated, and American communities are safely enjoyed by all of their citizens again. I just don't. Hold on, everybody. I gotta get my pen out here. All right. Here we go. Let's just make sure I've got the right pen. Okay, so this is also stupid here, right? That's the whole goal of any law enforcement, even a park ranger, and all they do is just collect the camping fees. I'm not saying that's the only thing park rangers do, but there's a hierarchy. Park rangers that go into the parks, and then the park rangers that take your ticket, right? So that's what everybody's goal is. Like, thanks for stating the obvious. Now, number 2, legal defense of law enforcement officers. Let's take a look and see here. We've got Attorney General shall take all appropriate action. Let me tell you right now, this Attorney General has been asked to do like a million things, and her staff has been reduced to nobody. So I think it's very interesting that they keep commanding the Attorney General to do all of this stuff when she has absolutely no power. So if they created the federal group, they couldn't enforce the state law, correct? Correct. Exactly. They can only, let me pull this up here so we can see. They can only enforce federal law. They don't have jurisdiction, right? Just like the federal courts can't hear a state case because they don't have jurisdiction. It's the same thing with law enforcement. Your state cases are heard in your state courts. Your federal cases are heard in your federal courts. Federal law enforcement is in the federal area. The state law enforcement, that's in the state area. They don't cross. All right, so here we go. Again, back into this. So the Attorney General's got a whole bunch of stuff. Indemnification law enforcement officers unjustly incur expenses, liability, blah, blah, blah. Mechanism shall include private sector pro bono. Okay, so they're trying to say the feds might help the states to get attorneys to represent police, or maybe private. Like, all right. Absolutely, Bruce Wayne's mother, of course. Absolutely. I think clarification along this whole, every single step of the way is important here. But they're crossing, they have broken many laws. Well, it's one thing to break a law, but then it's another thing to have anything happen because of it, right? So if let's just put this out there, if an FBI agent goes onto Harvard campus and arrests someone for, some kind of Harvard rule, right? So, they're walking north instead of south. Then when you get into court, right, you have to still go through the due process. You get into court, and then that person would say, this person didn't have the authority to ticket me because they're a federal agent. So this arrest, this ticket is invalid. I mean, that's exactly what it comes down to. So, they can do what they want to do kind of in that moment, which is atrocious, but then they can get sued for that bad behavior. But when it comes to an actual finding of fault or finding of guilt, all of those things, like you can't come in and charge a state law as a federal officer and expect that to stick. So it's not going to stick. What about what ICE did to the lady and her kids who were citizens, and they took her money as well? So good question. ICE has, oh my gosh, we had such huge fights with ICE during this fella's first administration. And it's interesting because I remember thinking when Biden came into office, I kept thinking like, maybe ICE will simmer down, right? Because it's a problem. Because ICE is that classic clash between federal and state. Because they're coming into state areas and they're just doing whatever the heck they want. You still have some basic due process rights, as we've been kind of talking about over the last couple of months, when it comes to ICE enforcement. Just like bounty hunters, right? They can come and do pretty much what they want in order to get their money back, but you still have constitutional rights. And this bad behavior or poor enforcement of that situation can be called out. Can the states give them authority? That's an interesting question. Can the states put a law into their state code that would allow for federal law enforcement to no, I don't think so. I can't even see how that would work, because that would be conflicting with federal statutes as well that really specify the differences between the federal and the state law. Take care, Martha. Have a good one. I would have to say, maybe if they put it in their constitution, but I think the problem with trying to put them together would actually be a violation of the US Constitution. So we would have a 9th, 10th Amendment violations issue. All right. So I just went around the whole thing, and I came back to the point. Can the states pass laws? They can, but are they constitutional? No. How's that? We got there. Yes. Right. Oh, oh, you're so sweet. All right, here we go. Back in Oklahoma, we're totally appalled. Oh, yeah, I have no doubt. That whole situation, once you shine a light on some of this stuff, that's what it takes in order to make changes occur here. All right. Oh, well, thanks, Kat. I appreciate that. All right, here we go. Let's jump it back in. So they're saying if the police are getting whatever attacked, I guess they're going to say that the Attorney General can take appropriate action to get pro bono assistance. To that, I would say the Attorney General can't even fill her own office with attorneys right now. So I'm not sure she's going to have the resources to start representing cops out there, right? All right, number 3, Section 3, empowering state and local law enforcement. The Attorney General and other appropriate heads of executive departments and agencies shall take all appropriate action to maximize the use of federal resources. Okay, now this is sounding okay. Hold on here. Number 1, provide new best practices to state and local law enforcement to aggressively police communities against all crimes. So, I'm like, good luck. You think those state deputies are going to be like, yeah, tell me how you guys do it? Like, are you kidding me? Have you never spoken with a sheriff deputy or county deputy and some kind of U.S. Marshal? You think that local county deputy is going to be like, yeah, tell us how you do stuff? No, what the H? This is so crazy. Number 2, expand access and improve the quality of training available to state and local law enforcement. That's always a good idea. Increase pay and benefits for law enforcement officers. How are you going to do that? All right, this is just stupid right here. All right, because the state pays for the whole benefits and increase of pay. This is the state checkbook, not the federal checkbook. Like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. All right. Here we go. Strengthen and expand legal protections for law enforcement officers at the federal level, but, the feds can't write state law. Seek enhanced sentences for crimes against law enforcement officers. At the federal level, they have nothing to do with the state law enforcement. So that's not even possible here. Yeah, I mean, your state takes care of paying your state law enforcement. Like, this seems like a fundamental misunderstanding of federalism. Like, this is a Schoolhouse Rock situation, everybody. When we have a Schoolhouse Rock situation, I have to bring out Bill. So Bill is saying somebody didn't learn what federalism was when they were in school, okay? So, that's a problem. All right, here we go. Promote investment in the security and capacity of prisons. That's always good. I don't care if that's always good. We always need help. Our prisons are running on nothing, on fumes. That's right. And I don't care if it's a state or federal prison. They're all running on fumes. The state one's probably worse, of course, but increase the investment in collection, distribution, and uniformity of crime data across jurisdictions. Now that is something that could actually happen, but that crime data information is given voluntarily. It cannot be some situation where they are demanding information from the local sheriff. So, and again, think of your rural communities. You're going to go into a rural town with like 3,000 people and say, give us your crime stats. And they're like, who are you? And they're like, well, we're, marshals. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, so this information is already given voluntarily, and then we always question whether it's actually accurate. All right, within 60 days of this order, the Attorney General shall review all ongoing federal consent decrees. That's a lot. A consent decree is, well, it looks like they wrote it out here. Out of court agreements and post judgment orders to which a state or local law enforcement agency is a party. What? Hold on. Federal consent decrees are allowed here, out of court statements and post judgment orders to which a state or local law enforcement agency is a party. I don't even know what that means. I can't even wrap my head around that. So it's a so we've got federal law being broken and an agreement, and one of the parties that it's broken with is the state. So, like, is the state being criminally charged and given a consent decree? What? Like, this doesn't even make sense to me here. What? Oh, my goodness. What even is this? Oh, my gosh. What? Ongoing federal consent decrees. Okay, wait, there's a comma. Hold on. Okay, consent decree. The comma, everybody. I missed the comma. I got too excited. All right, out of court agreements. And again, how do we even define that? Here we go. I got to back up now. I was starting to see spots, everybody. Feds monitoring. Right. I got you. So here we go. Definition is what I'm trying to put in here. Oh, dear. I'm starting to see spots. Here we go. There we go. So define out of court agreements. What does that mean? We're just in the hallways talking to people. And post judgment orders. Now, post judgment orders from a court, right? To which a state or local, post judgment orders to which a state or local law enforcement agency is a party. Again, oh my gosh, I still can't picture how they can cross the jurisdictional lines in order to do that. And modify, rescind, or move to conclude such measures that unduly impede the performance of law enforcement functions. This is just judiciary voted to give ICE power to detain and deport U.S. citizens. Yeah, and there has been kind of this ongoing question about the power of ICE being able to do that to some in some situations, not every situation. And habeas corpus is still a thing, right? In my opinion, feds want to take over and do the prosecute. Exactly. So this whole piece here, all right, is a completely in violation of the 9th, 10th Amendment. I put the 9th and 10th Amendments together because the language does two different things. So if I combine it, it means then both things are covered. Let's take a look here real quick at the 9th Amendment. Here we go. Back. All right, 9th Amendment. Rights retained by the people. So these are the people. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So any rights not listed in the Constitution. And so that could be rights that are established by state law as well. And then powers retained by the states and the people. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So the people or the people. So this is what they're talking about with that separation of powers issue. Yeah, exactly. So this is completely unconstitutional there. All right. So this one's taking a little bit longer to get through, everybody, because it's just ridiculous. Using national security assets for law and order, Secretary of Defense and Attorney General, with the Secretary of Homeland Security and the heads of agencies as appropriate, increase the provision of excess military and national security assets in local jurisdictions to assist state and local law enforcement. So they need to be careful here because we have, I always get the words mixed up because for some reason we have something called posse comitas. That's not going to be spelled correctly, everyone. All right. I'm going to tell you right now. Where we have laws, federal laws, stating that federal enforcement cannot go forward and do law enforcement at a local level. Comitatus, all right, I believe you. Let's do it. Comitatus. Thank you, Willie B. I appreciate you. There we go. Comitatus. Thank you. Just Chris. Yes. Oh, did I spell posse right? Oh, I got posse right. Right. All right. Let me cross this one out. Sorry about that. So we have rules and we have laws that set out that, our military and our federal and law enforcement can't come in and do local law enforcement. It just doesn't happen. It's not allowed to happen. Again, I'm telling you what the law says. Now, what actually happens, that's a different story. But under the law, you're not allowed to just go in and assist law enforcement in that way. They're just not allowed to do that. Enabling the Insurrection Act to dismantle. Could be. They're trying to grab at power, but, the Constitution's in the way, like the big Constitution, not to mention what state laws are saying. So, no, within 90 days here, Secretary of Defense with Attorney General shall determine how military and national security assets, training, non-lethal, blah, 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 can most effectively be utilized to prevent crime. Again, oh my gosh, everybody, this is just... It's so over the top. It's just so outside the scope of the Constitution. This is basically the same as the birthright citizenship when they came in and said, well, we're just going to get rid of that. Like, no, you have to change the Constitution to get rid of it. So they would have to change the Constitution in order to do what they're wanting to do here. All right? That's what would have to happen if we go about this through the proper legal channels. All right. Now, again, if that happens or not, that's a different story. All right. Section 5, holding state and local officers accountable. What? Hold on. That's no good either. That's kind of what we had in the SAVE Act. And again, the SAVE Act being that huge power grab of the federal government to pull voter registration regulations away from the states, which is in direct violation of the Constitution. The Attorney General shall pursue all necessary legal remedies and enforcement measures to enforce the rights of Americans impacted by crime and shall prioritize prosecution of any applicable violations of federal criminal law. Well, that's good that they recognized it's federal criminal law with respect to state and local jurisdictions whose officials willfully and unlawfully direct the obstruction of criminal law. This is a crime, actually, to do that. Including by directly and unlawfully prohibiting law enforcement officers from carrying out duties necessary for public safety and law enforcement. This doesn't even make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. Unlawfully engage in discrimination or civil rights violations under the guise of diversity. Yes, and this is already illegal. This is already a crime here. Crime already. All right, so this part here, useless. Next, use of Homeland Security Task Force. The Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security shall utilize the Homeland Security Task Forces formed in accordance with Executive Order, blah, blah, on January 20th. All right. All right. I mean, that's nothing either. General provisions, nothing in this order. And again, the general provisions are in every executive order explaining the power here. So the bottom line with this particular executive order is that it's unconstitutional. And actually it violates the basic fundamentals of federalism. It's like they've forgotten that we have federal law and state law, and the federal law can't take over the state law. So I'm wondering if it might help if they watched maybe Ken Burns, right? So maybe the Civil War perhaps the Civil War series might be helpful for them to understand the difference between state and federal law. Possibly. I think that could be helpful for them. But yeah, we got a problem. Yeah, they got a problem. I mean, this isn't even possible. Not just because, yeah, they've not forgotten. I know. I tried to cushion the blow, but no, they're intentionally being incorrect. I mean, come on. This would be a complete overhaul of the U.S. Constitution, and they don't have the numbers to do that or the power. So I'm not sure they're even testing SCOTUS on this one. I think, well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. We have the birthright citizenship situation being argued in front of the Supreme Court here within the next few weeks. So that situation needs to be taken care of, and we'll have some idea of how, this is going to turn out when it comes to these other things. But this is just basic Civics 101, where you can't, okay. Now, when I say you can't, I don't mean, well, if you have enough firepower, you can. That's not what I mean. I mean, legally, under the law, this is not proper. So we're going to put this one to the side, but one more chance here to say, this isn't right. Go back to school and figure out what federalism is. All right, next. Next up, I think I'll wait on the articles of impeachment until they get a little further. The situation with the articles of impeachment is that they've been announced, and it looks like a couple of Democrats have refused to sign on to the resolution. We don't have everything really in place, so I'm going to wait a little while before I do the articles, and we're kind of running down on time tonight anyway. So let's hop in and do an overview. Yes, I know. Yeah, and if you want to go and listen to Kamala, of course, it won't break my heart. It'll be all right. But let's take a look here at the order that came out today for Mr. Madawi. This was a Columbia student who had been pulled up off of the street and put into detention. Let me go ahead and read the introduction here, and then we'll kind of skip through and I can explain what the different sections are and then the order itself. So on April 14th, Madawi filed a petition for writ of habeas corpus, challenging the government's alleged retaliatory and targeted detention and attempted removal of Mr. Madawi for his constitutionally protected speech. The claims include a request for release on bail pending adjudication of the habeas corpus petition. And this was granted today. So that's why, all of these things have been coming out, is because this was granted. He should be out of custody on April 22nd. Mr. Madawi filed a motion for release under Mapp v. Reno. Now, I may at some point accidentally say Mapp versus Ohio, because that's the case that is the Mapp case to me, but there is another case here, which is the Mapp v. Reno case. And this was 2001, I think, or 2000. Okay, I was close. This is a citation if you want to take a look at it. It's out of the Second Circuit. Let me see if I can bump it up here. But if you want to look at this case, you can feel free. But we've also got this case used as a justification for the Ozturk case, I believe. They've also filed for release for her under the Reno case as well. So that's what they're using here. Now, respondents, also referred to as the government in this decision, filed a response. Mr. Madawi has filed a reply. The court held a hearing on the motion for release today, April 30th. So that's what we did today. So this was moving pretty quick. Here's the personal background. I'll just do a couple paragraphs here, and then we'll kind of start flipping through what actually happened. So Mr. Madawi is 34 years old. He was born and raised in the West Bank. He entered the United States legally in July of 2014 and was married for some years to an American citizen. He has been a legal permanent resident of the United States for 10 years. His permanent residence card, or the green card, confirms that he has been a resident since January of 2015. His permanent address is in White River, Vermont, Junction, Vermont. He also owns a small cabin that he built himself in nearby Vershire, Vermont. Since 2021, he's been an undergraduate student at Columbia University, majoring in philosophy. Oh dear. You know, the people majoring in the philosophy, they just have a lot to say. I've got a lot of respect for them, all right? Those were the ones that always were in the hallways of law school saying, why are we doing this? Why did the court rule this way? He hopes to graduate next month. He has been admitted to a master's degree program at Columbia School of International and Public Affairs. The course of study would begin in September of 2025. Mr. Madawi states that he found comfort and healing in spiritual community shortly after coming to the United States. He joined the First Universalist Society in Vermont. He also began to study Buddhism. As a student at Columbia, Madawi has dedicated himself to understanding how to achieve a lasting peace for this place, which is a buzzword that I don't want to use so the live doesn't get taken down, for this group and for this group, particularly through the study of conflict resolution. After this place took military action here, which again I'm not going to go into, he was outspoken in opposition to the war. He took part in student demonstrations where he spoke publicly about the importance of respecting international laws, human rights, and the need for a permanent ceasefire and peaceful resolution. All right. The letter submitted on Mr. Madawi's behalf describe him as a person who seeks common ground between students, who supports this response to the atrocities committed by this group, and those who express outrage against the level of destruction and civilian casualties. So there we go. Let's fast forward now. We've got some idea his backstory here. All right. Here's our last piece. Mr. Madawi states that after the November 2024 election, certain groups launched a deportation campaign against me and declared that they had reported me to the Trump administration so that I may be deported for my speech in support of certain rights. After Mahmoud Khalil's arrest, I apologize, that's not how you say that, arrest and detention, Mr. Madawi felt like I could no longer speak freely on the issues that mattered to me and that his physical safety was in jeopardy. After Mr. Khalil's arrest, Mr. Madawi didn't go outside much or say much publicly, which, again, is a horrendous situation. That is another case I'm tracking here. Let me just show you, everybody, as we go through this. I have a list of cases here. We need to, what's happening? Okay, there we go. Oh my gosh, my little T-Rex arms, everybody. Oh, my T-Rex arms. So this is my daily court list for the habeas cases. And so every day I go onto the docket and I check and see what's happening in these cases to just make sure somebody or something is happening. So Mr. Khalil is here, and of course his transfer from Louisiana back to New Jersey and then getting everything on the record that needs to be on the record has been the only movement going on for him right now. So I do have my eyes on that in case you were wondering in that situation. All right. Okay. All right. Next, Mr. Madawi's detention by Homeland Security. So on March 27th of 2025, Mr. Madawi received a notification from the U.S. Customs Immigration Services, USCIS, portal that his naturalization interview had been scheduled for April 14th in Colchester, Vermont. The interview was the last stage of Mr. Madawi's naturalization process. Thank you very much, VC. Naturalization process before the formal naturalization ceremony. Mr. Madawi suspected that the Trump administration would use the interview as an opportunity to target and detain him for his speech. He nevertheless made arrangements to attend the interview in person. Mr. Madawi traveled to Vermont on the morning of April 14th to attend his nationalization interview. Upon entering the interview room, he recognized the interviewer as the official who interviewed him for his green card. The entire interview was recorded on video. Mr. Madawi answered all of the interviewer's questions and passed the citizenship test. Good for him. He also signed a document affirming he was willing to take an oath of allegiance to the United States. After Ms. Madawi signed the document, the official said he needed to check on some information, would be right back. Once the official left the room, 3 masked agents wearing Homeland Security investigations jackets and their supervisor entered the room. They showed Mr. Madawi their badges, told him that he was under arrest. They did not show him a warrant or any documents. The agents separated Mr. Madawi from his attorney, brought him to a hallway where 2 more masked agents were waiting, and then shackled him and escorted him to a black van. They transported him to another USCIS office building approximately 10 or 15 minutes away from the Colchester office. As he was being processed at the USCIS office, agents shoved a notice to appear NTA document into his jacket. The NTA stated Mr. Madawi was removable because, quote, the Secretary of State's determined that your presence and activities in the United States would have serious adverse foreign policy consequences and would compromise a compelling U.S. foreign policy interest. Oh my goodness gracious. The NTA ordered Mr. Madawi to appear before an immigration judge at the South Louisiana Correctional Center on May 1st. Again, we're in Vermont. Everybody. Shortly before 2 p.m., the agents transported Mr. Madawi to the Burlington, Vermont airport. At the airport, 2 other agents took charge of him. One of the agents had a GUN visible in the holster. Mr. Madawi repeatedly asked where he was being taken, and the agents finally told him he was being sent to Louisiana. The flight left before the agents and Mr. Madawi were able to board it. Wow. He could have been heading over to El Salvador, everybody. The agents appeared to Mr. Madawi to be visibly upset that we had missed the flight. Mr. Madawi was then transported to the ICE field office in St. Albans, Vermont. After seeing his attorney at the St. Albans office, Mr. Madawi was reshackled and transported to the Northwest State Correctional Facility in Swanton, Vermont. Holy buckets, Batman. Counsel for Mr. Madawi filed a petition of writ of habeas corpus in this court on April 14th. That same day, Mr. Madawi was detained. Through counsel, Mr. Madawi filed a motion for release on April 22nd. That motion is supported by over 125 letters of support from professors, neighbors, fellow students, and others who know him well. All attest to his mild and peaceful nature, his deep intelligence, and his commitment to principles of nonviolence and political activism. A striking number of those letters come from Jewish colleagues and professors involved in the study of the history and culture of this place and Judaism. The facts recited above appear in Mr. Madawi's habeas petition and are described in greater detail in the exhibits attached to his motion for release. Oh my gosh, that's awful. This is just a hellish nightmare here. So the court goes through an analysis here. Again, this is where the court is releasing him, and so they're setting out the analysis backed up by different precedents. Here's the jurisdiction being established, section 1252G, explanation. We're going to fast forward so we can see exactly what the court's ordered here. B, section 2226E of the U.S. Code, section 1252B9 of the U.S. Code, and the map analysis, meaning that MAP v. Reno case, talking about release if you're in a kind of deportation situation or habeas corpus. Substantial questions. First Amendment was a substantial question. And it looks like this judge is not impressed by the basis for their First Amendment issue, protected speech. And this, I think, is very important. So, Mr. Madawi has presented sufficient evidence that his speech was protected under the First Amendment, and then goes into the analysis of why he believes that. Adverse action, again, there's also record evidence. Mr. Madawi's arrest and detention constitutes an adverse action for the purpose of his First Amendment retaliation claim here. And then the government's motivation in detaining. And so they go into the intent. Madawi bears the burden of proving that the government detained him in retaliation for his protected speech or to chill the speech of others. A bail hearing is not the time to rule on the merits of the evidence or the methods of inferring retaliatory motive. It's sufficient at this juncture to consider the government's public statements. So they're saying we don't need all the deets in this hearing, but it's enough. Due process here under the Fifth Amendment. He also raised the substantive due process claim, so you can all tell Wisco about that. Wisco, it's page 21. All right. And then Supreme Court citations, extraordinary circumstances here. So I think he presents no danger to his community and others. Again, I'm trying to flip through to the answer or to the order itself. Here we go, flip, flip, flip. Necessary to make the habeas remedy effective was decided as well. We have a disposition here, meaning the government had asked for a 7-day stay. So they had asked for him to stay in the facility for another week. This judge, spoiler, said no. A likelihood of success on the merit. The court has already functionally addressed this issue, resolving it in favor of Mr. Madawi. A substantial claim for relief under Matt v. Reno is found where a petitioner relies on clear case law establishing the likelihood of success on his claim. So the government also can't make a showing of likelihood of success on the merits. So they've already said here that he is, already winning, essentially. Irreparable injury is in play, injury to other interested parties. The court says we don't know anybody else. And then public interest here. And then we have our conclusion piece, which is what I wanted to get us to tonight. So Mr. Madawi, again, I know I'm saying his name probably incorrectly. I apologize, everyone, but release is also in the public interest. His continued detention would likely have a chilling effect on protected speech, which is squarely against the public interest, and continuing to detain him would not benefit the public in any way, as Mr. Madawi appears not to be either a flight risk or a danger to the community. Finally, Mr. Madawi's release will benefit his community, which appears to deeply cherish and value him. The court therefore declines to stay its order pending appeal and instead requires Mr. Madawi's immediate release. So the conclusion, petitioner's motion for release is granted. Court orders the release of Mohsen Madawi on his personal recognizance during the pendency of this habeas proceedings. His release is subject to the following conditions. So he's allowed to go, but he needs to remain a resident of Vermont. He's permitted to travel to New York State for educational purposes or meet with his lawyers or otherwise ordered by the court. That he attend all court hearings in this case in person unless excused by court order. Which are very typical pieces, and then it is signed here by our judge. So that's that. And we've got, again, this full court order where the judge is saying he will absolutely, he is, valued by his community. This will have a chilling effect to freedom of speech issues. And he seems peaceful as well, based off of the evidence, everyone. So he was released today on his own recognizance, or we would call that a no-R release. To how it's said. Okay, thank you. I know I can't. Sometimes I really pronounce everything incorrectly. I apologize. So what are we thinking, everybody? This is our first out of our habeas cases. Again, here we have Miss Chung, Miss Ozturk, and Mr. Khalil are three others, and none of these people have been released. They are all in detention. And again, these are those First Amendment questions. I think you're awesome. Oh, Kelpie. Oh, Kelpie. I apologize if I can say your name right. I'm terrible at names. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. Nauseous ambience. You mean they obeyed a court order? I know. We got to start somewhere, right? Right? They'll probably find another reason to pick him up again. Well, let me ask this. How do you think he got onto the radar? How was his name put into a place where Marco Rubio could say he is harming foreign relations? How did that happen? What do we think got him on the list? Because he was pretty smart after Mr. Khalil had been arrested. He's like, I'm not going out. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay where I'm at. I'm not going to leave. And then the only reason he left was for a naturalization interview and the test, right? Social media, the university, Canary Missions, right. Snitches, someone snitched. Really? Someone reported him. Okay, probably was turned in on the snitch line. A snitch that doesn't like immigrants. Well, it seems like, and he had brought it up during his piece in here where he said people were mad at him and said they were going to tell the administration about it. So protest recordings, that could also be, that's a good point, actually. I wonder if they have gone through the footage, much like the FBI had done with the Jan 6 footage, right? You go through and you see who's doing what. So perhaps they've done that. Yeah. Oh, Canary. All right. Yikes. Thousands of people submitted with tips. Oh my gosh. Right. Is this the Red Scare again? Because that's just, everybody, I tell you. ICE will find some reason to break into my house. Well, I'm a bit worried myself, right? I'm out in the middle of nowhere and, probably the most person of the most color in my area. And I'm worried too. I'm worried every time my son leaves the house. Not so much my daughter, because she can pass more as white. So a little bit less fear for that. But yeah, it's absolutely troubling, very worrying right now, because what's happening is they break the law by pulling people in to custody, and then you go through and you say you broke the law, but you're still going through the process of being arrested and detained and having to be put into that situation. So you still have the trauma of it, even though it's not legal. And then what repercussions? So it's pretty worrisome. Yeah, it's worrisome. If he was sent to Louisiana. Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened to Khalil. And I believe one of the other ladies, although I'm not sure. But yeah, Louisiana seems to be, that's where the Mike Johnson fella's from. And we've had a lot of discussions on why would you go down to Louisiana? And perhaps it's because of the facilities available there and the people there. That's possible. Knock on a door, ask if any of our neighbors spoke Spanish. Oh my gosh. Ozturk, yes. So, and she is here on the list. Oh, she's really, really struggling. My heart just goes out to her. Kenny Sue, though, we'll see. We'll have to see how far that immunity attaches. If you are doing something, though, that is illegal, even though it's within the scope of your job and it's in bad faith, then you can go forward to look for a lawsuit in that situation. Private prison wants the money. Absolutely. Louisiana, yes, I would agree with that, Navy Vet. I would absolutely agree with that. Florida, taking my yes, take the passport. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. Oh, yes. So, everybody, it doesn't even seem to matter if you are not brown at this point. The group has expanded. For me, I stick out. I don't blend in with my community very well. So my son does a bit better, but he just looks very Hispanic. I mean, we're mixed. He's mixed, and the Hispanic genes really came out in him right now. And yeah, I worry. I worry a lot. So we just, got to got to make sure we have extra. We're always careful because of where we live, but now we're extra careful. And, especially if we're driving on the highway. So that's just part of what our life is like right now. Yeah. Right, right. Anyone that stands out and not rich. I agree, Navy vet. Now, before, again, and before it was just if you looked like you could be a person of color. But now, anyone speaking any foreign language, it doesn't matter. You could have an Irish accent. And it's just expanded. The circle has expanded. And, at the point where it really could be anyone. I think we're easier to spot people of color because, we look different. We can't really, we look the way we look, but absolutely people are being pulled in who are not people of color. There's a protest. Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. We have no more. Well, I think we're definitely we're in a bad situation. I mean, we're in a bad situation right now. It's not great, but it's fixable. And it's something that we keep having to go through in this situation. Have you read the Securing the Border EO? Not yet, Navy vet, not yet. Well, right. I mean, I won't lie to you. I have certain things that I do to pass for white when I go out in public. And I certainly don't wear short sleeves or shorts. And, we all have our things that we do to try to minimize the acknowledgement. But, that's just kind of part of life. Although one thing that I've noticed that was a little bit different was I had really thought, when things get warm, I just adore when spring and summer come and everybody kind of goes out and does the tanning stuff. And I kept thinking like, maybe people won't tan this year. But I tell you what, people are still tanning. And so I'm like that. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Are you sure you want to do that? Oh, I know, Kaya. I know. Yeah, it's tough with the kids. I just make sure that they know what happens if someone gets pulled over. So what I was thinking, I get really, well, right. Again, and there's no boundaries here. There's no boundaries. You could be born in, Chicago, Illinois, and just not have any kind of dark. I'm going down a road. I got to be really careful here. Everyone is at risk. All right. Everyone's at risk. They tend, though, what I'm seeing with ICE is they tend to try to pick the easy ones out first. So they have to do less work. And that tends to be people of color in a community where they are very small numbers. So that's kind of where that's where I live. So what about the bill Republicans put through today, giving Trump authority to deport people without due process? Yeah, that's, they can, and we've kind of talked about this before. Congress can put all kinds of bills in. They can come in and say, put a bill into place that says women can no longer vote. They could do that, absolutely, and the president could sign it. But if it's not a constitutional amendment, then it's not going to work. And although we're looking at kind of an administrative procedure for deportation, anything involving deportation or removal has a requirement, again, under the 14th Amendment. So the 14th Amendment, equal protection of laws, applies to that due process piece out of the 5th Amendment. So you still have to have it. Yep. Recommendation from the Judiciary Committee. Yeah, that's troubling, my friends. That's a bit troubling. It's yeah, it's troubling. I'm Hispanic with a Hispanic last name. Thankfully, my son is. Right, I know, John. I know. And it's weird to have those kinds of conversations. And a lot of us are mixed. A lot of us are very, very mixed, and across the board here. And it you just don't know what's going to happen with your skin tone or your child's skin tone. And I remember there being some worries about my children when they were born and what color they would be. And that's just kind of part of the world you live in when you're this mixed, which is, really interesting because you can really just say, well, that part's French, this part's clearly from West Africa, this part's clearly from Spain, this part is clearly Mexican. So that's kind of fun too to do. I mean, there's so much fun and brilliance that comes from such a huge mix that it's absolutely 100% worth it. But then you also take a look at the Plessy versus Ferguson case. And, for me, I am more Black than Plessy was. So that then is like another moment where you have to pause and say, if this is the standard for being a Black person or a person of color, like, yikes, that was passed by the Supreme Court. Yes, you just have to make sure you talk to them and, make sure that they're educated about what they can do and what to say and what not to say. Just stay off the radar. That's the biggest thing is you've got to just stay off the radar. That's absolutely, like before you can be walking around and like, hey, do whatever you want. But now stay off the radar, right? And hopefully we just have to kind of hunker down until it passes. Call and write until they remember. Absolutely. This makes because of your curly. Yes. I was troubled by federal jury request to fill out questionnaires on. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my gosh, Shadow, that was amazing. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I love that. Right, you're always home. Well, right. I love your nails. Oh, thank you so much. Mixed or not, these people, neighbors, friends. Right. Exactly. And too, the thing is, I know a lot of people with the DEIA discussion and they don't want to have race to be on the table anymore, and I get it. But truly, if you look back, we are more mixed than we've ever been before. And I think that really I think that's great. I think that's really great. As we continue to go forward, it'll continue to, mix and so on until we get to a point where everybody's got a bit of this and everybody's got a bit of that. And it just really won't matter anymore. Hopefully that's my thought of the day. We shall see. Exactly. One big salad bowl. Exactly. And I mean, the cultures are so amazing. I'm so incredibly grateful for all of the amazing different kinds of cultures and histories. That's how you learn to be a better person. It's just by exploring that. So end up beige. Well, right. Although I tell you, there have been some amazing, again, every ethnicity, every race has its own absolutely beautiful pieces to them. So we just kind of got to celebrate that and, keep your chin up, but also keep it down when you're in public, I guess is what I would say here. So this, half German, I'm the only one who speaks German, but the rest Spanish. Well, and that's the thing too, Mandy, is from the word on the street. The word on the street in the legal community is if you speak another language, and it doesn't matter if it's Spanish or if it's Portuguese, it doesn't matter. If you are speaking another language in public, that may not be the best of good ideas because there are some, there's just kind of an odd situation going on right now. Yes, 50%. Oh, bless her. Aw. Grandpa, she looks, yes. Well, and, with good reason to worry. You just have to have those common sense things in place Even Russian, I tell you, that's a good point, Michaela. I tell you, I've got a Russian mother-in-law. I'm very thankful. I'm blessed. I have two mother-in-laws, and from the Moscow, and her mother is here, and she doesn't speak any English. She only speaks Russian, and they flew from my state to New York, and had been advised to, take certain kinds of paperwork and be extra careful when they were, and that's just state to state travel. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things right now where it draws attention to you. And if you're like, well, I'm going to be who I'm going to be, that's fine, and do what you want to do. But for me, I want to spare myself the trauma of an arrest. I don't think it's worth a lawsuit later on down the road. Is how I look at it. Everything has to be spoken in English. People should be outraged. Right, right. And I'm not saying, and again, they made English the national language, but if you're walking past the popo, or you're walking past, or you're in an area where there are, some people there, that's when you kind of, you got to monitor a little bit what you're doing. Be able to invade. Right. And perhaps rumor has that they already are doing it. They're already going into. We have a lawsuit that was just filed a few days ago where they are entering places of worship. So it's a problem. It's a problem. Right, right. Oh, my kids' school. Right, right. Absolutely, why not? And I tell you, I've always done that with my children. I sat down with my school principal once, the school principal for one of my kids, because there literally was not a place that matched his ethnicity. And so I said to her, I was like, these aren't, and legally, I don't think I have to declare what the race is. And, I'm in an incredibly small community in a very rural area. And so the principal's like, we hate to be a bother, but, our data and stuff. And I was like, look, why don't you go ahead and fill out that square? Why don't you go ahead and tell me? Because, you don't have it available. So it can go either way with that. So let's go to the allowed deportations to continue. That I don't know of at this point. The checks that I've had on all of the cases to date don't have any movement at all, other than the Garcia case where discovery is back in play. Yes, yes. I mean, also, I say this, everybody, and we talk about this, but I have to say, even in my community, in the rural world, on Saturday, there was a huge celebration that they put together in, I don't, it was in a parking lot, and it had a whole bunch of like food vendors and a whole bunch of decorations. It was this huge, huge fiesta. And it was the Hispanics in our community all had come together and had a big block party essentially, and everybody was invited. So we have this moment, and I was like, hey, what y'all doing? They're like, let's party, man. Just like random party situation too, to have so many people coming together and be like, we see you. We are here. We hear you. We see you. We adore you. Let's have some fun together. So there is also that sense occurring, and that's never happened before. But again, it's just to kind of get the moment to say, like, we're not in agreement with all of this, even though it might appear so. We're not. So let's hang out. Half German. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Thomas, that's what I'm saying. You got to be careful. And it shouldn't have to be that way. But then again, there's like what the law says and then what will happen. So we got to be careful. Yes, the Cinco de Mayo. So, we're going to you have to have your celebrations for the Cinco de Mayo. I mean, you just do. But you just have to be careful. And, which is something that is what most of our communities have already been doing. but now it's just it's extra. And now a lot of new people are being included in the group that need to be careful. Yeah, well, exactly, Thomas. Yeah, exactly. You gotta be careful. You gotta stay up the radar. And we don't like it, but it's temporary. Everyone, too. That's the other thing to remember. This is temporary. This is the Waterloo. All right, this is the Napoleon Waterloo. This is the last piece of this in order to clean out the mess that we have been in. So if you keep looking at it like that this is Waterloo and will end soon, you just are like, well, we got to wait it out. And while we're waiting, be very, very noisy. Well, right, exactly, Mrs. Hazy. Oh, I know. It's a struggle. It's a struggle, but I have no doubt we will come out to the other side of this. Yeah, exactly. We're going to come out to the other side, and I'm seeing it already. And for me, I saw after the first administration, the first few days where it was really hard to go to the grocery store, and I hunkered down quite a bit, and it was just really overwhelming. But this time, I think people have been waiting because they had a hard time accepting what actually happened. But now it's like, I mean, we have a whole new group of people coming out that are being incredibly loud and supportive, and I love that. I think that's great. So for each one that is going down that negative road of the isms, even in my community, there are multiple people who are saying, we don't agree with that. Don't put us in that group. And I think that's great. Speaks in 10 minutes on the tube. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Blue Horizon. With that, I probably will go ahead and shut us down for tonight. We've been up for an hour and 40 minutes. And then I got on my soapbox there for about 25 minutes with that. So thank you all for coming and joining tonight. I will have this up on my tube channel soon. It takes a little while for me to do that. So give me maybe 24, 48 hours. We did, just to remind everybody, we went through 2 of the executive orders. The first one was the Unleashing America's Law Enforcement, which, isn't constitutional at all. And then the other, Enforcing Common Sense Rules. I don't even know. That one's not right either. And then we were able to go through this huge winning moment. This is great. This is what we want to see. We want to see more of this, where a judge said, "Guess what, Mr. Madawi, you are out on your own recognizance. There you go. We'll get this stuff sorted out." So that's what we like to see. I will be back again for another live very soon. And until then, take care, everybody. Again, yes, this is Ken Burns is what I'm recommending, because they're not understanding federalism properly here. So I think that would be helpful for them. So take care, everybody. I'll see you all again very soon. Have a good night.